Hey there, how there, ho there, Chef Cutter Diamond. Welcome to yet another Stone Cold Hockey video. And we are finishing up the 16th season Tournament of Champions, in which we did like a playoff style tournament. Everyone gets to play and all that. And the top two in each season gets to move on of the 16 seasons that Stone Cold Hockey has. Of course, we have teams. How do they do it? Do they do the. Oh, they don't. Well, doesn't matter. So we had teams from the 1965 set, the 1968 set, the 71 set, of course. When I say 65, 68, 71, I say 64, 65, 67, 60, and 70, 71, for example. 1975, 1979, these are all NHL sets, no WHA teams allowed. 82, which is the new one. 84, 91, 92, the new one that just came out, 94, 06, 2012, and then 22, 23, 24, 25. So of those 16 seasons, the top two move on. And based off of how good you, well, if you win your so-called tourney, it's based on how you did in real life and all that. I can kind of, we should have just do the bracket, but we'll touch on that a little bit later. But as is, Mike Bossy has 19 goals in this tournament. Norrie Ullman second with 15. Gordie Howe with 12. If I'm not mistaken, I think Ullman and Howe are out. Yeah. And points wise, Bossy's got 35 points. Guy Lafleur, the 79, Habs has 29, and so does Gordie Howe, and so does Brian Trottier. But the weird thing is Lafleur and Bossy go toe to toe because it's the 79 Islanders, 79 Habs in the semis. Jackman looking good with his goals against. As we look at the bracket, you'll see the numbers and all that. Every team from 1 to 16 won their postseason quote unquote tournament, and based off of how good they were in real life, that's how the seeds are. The top four all won their championships. The 2022 Avalanche were Stanley Cup champs in real life. The 91 Penguins, the 94 Rangers, and the 79 Habs all won their cups in real life. Number 75 Sabres, they actually lost in the final, the real final, to Philadelphia, but the 71 Rangers lost in the second round. The 2012 Coyotes lost in the conference final, the final four. Actually, yeah, the 71 Rangers lost in the final four. The 2012 Coyotes lost in the final four. The 65 Red Wings lost in the final four. The 2025, yeah, those guys who lose in the final four, that's their seeding. And then it went to second round losers, which were the 25 Leafs, 24 Bruins, who did win a playoff series. That was the year that they took out the Leafs in overtime in Game 7. The 92 Canucks also lost in the second round. And then the guys from 12 to 16 didn't do so well. The 23 Bruins didn't get out of the first round. That was the year Florida upset them after being down 3-1. 13 was the. Why don't I say 13? Okay, the 82 Oilers, who were supposed to do well and fell flat, losing the first round to the Kings thanks to the miracle in Manchester. The 68 Bruins, who faltered in the semifinals in real life. Yeah, they lost first round, but they lost in the final four. But there was, I think we screwed that up. The 15 seed 06 Flames, they lost in the first round, and the 16 seed 84 Sabres. I don't think they made the playoffs. Anyway, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, those guys won the Stanley Cup in real life, but lost in the yeah, but lost in the playoff tournament for second. The 79 Islanders, the 25 Stars went to the semifinals and failed. The 84 North Stars lost in the conference finals. The 82 Bruins, yeah, all that. 82 Bruins lost in the divisional finals or the second round. The 91 Kings did the same thing. The 92 Red Wings did the same thing, losing in the second round. The 94 Red Wings, I love that. And then 94 Red Wings, 26 downwards. They lost in the first round. 06 Red Wings lost in the first round. No, the 06 Red Wings, that's a goof. They actually, oh yeah, the Oilers took them out. I thought the Flames took them out. No, they took it out. Oh no. The 23 Rangers Went out yeah, they went out in the conference finals, didn't they? No, they didn't make the playoffs. The 22 Stars, the 75 Bruins. No, the 23 Rangers lost in the first round of the playoffs. 75 Bruins, 2012 Avalanche, and 2024 Bruins Sabres. So we have the 79 Islanders versus 79 Habs, and the 65 Habs versus the 71 Rangers in the final four. Here we go. Game one, Islanders win 4-2. Chico beats Dryden. Goals by Trny, Potvin, Born, and Potvin. Montreal goals by Steve Shutt, two of them. The other semifinal, Montreal 65 winning in overtime. Overtime goal, well, Rangers 2 goals in regulation, Well Kachuk, Kitchener, and Davy Bowland. Montreal goals, John Ferguson Sr. and Bobby Russo, and then pocket rocket at 3:52 from Bellafield. Rangers tie it 1-1, 3-2, Jackman over Hodge. Rangers are up 3-0. Rattel Bowland scoring for the Rangers this time, and Terrible Tedderman. Break the walls down, because that's the father of Chris Jericho. Russo and Backstrom from Montreal. Montreal wins 79 6-1. LaRock beats Billy Smith. Another goal by Mike Bossy, his 20th. Gady, Lafleur, Gainey, Shutt, and Mario Tremblay. I hate that name. Scoring for Montreal. Game three sees the Islanders now up 2-1. Chico beats Dryden. Montreal goal by Guy Lafleur, Harris, Bossy, Henning, and Trotz scoring for the Cupcakes. Rangers win 5-2. Jackman over Hodge. Kachuk, Kitchener, Stamkowski, Nielsen, Rattel, and Terrible Ted Irvin scored Rangers the 65 halves. 65 halves. Backstrom with a pair of goals. Game four sees Montreal win, so it's 2-2. Hodge over Jackman. Nevin scores for New York. Roberts, LaRose, and Ballin score. Game four sees the Cupcakes win 5-4. So the 79 Islanders are looking like they're going to make another upset. 5-4. Smith beats Dryden. Montreal goals by Lafleur, Tremblay, Larry Robinson, Kitchener, and Réjean Houle scoring. Islander goals for Bourne, Harris, Merrick, and Westball. So will the 79 Islanders pull off the upset? First off, the 71 Rangers, they win 4-1 as Jackman beats Hodge. Henry Richard his ninth. Ranger goals by Stamkowski, Nielsen, Fairbairn, and Hatfield. Can New York do it? Now, the Islanders have to go to Montreal. And it's not over. Montreal wins 5-1. Money the Rock wins. Trottier scores 14th. Lafleur, Shutt, Tremblay. Yay, Lambert and Shutt. Anyway, game six in Long Island. It will be Montreal wins, and guess what? We got a seventh. 3-2. La Rock beats Chico. Montreal goes by Mondu, Pointu, and Mondu. Merrick and Gillies for the honors. Does Montreal have this one? Anyway, on the other side, it will be a game seven there. The Rangers have to host game seven. 3-0, 65 team on a shootout. As a shutout. Hodge over Jackman, Provo, Backstrom, and Belleville scoring. So we have two game sevens. Imagine that. So we will be playing the Montreal Rangers one first. 18 versus 6. 65 Habs go with Gump Worsley in the net. Jackman for New York. Montreal having Provo, Backstrom, the guy 6 years later who was traded to LA to make sure that the Golden Seals first round pick, which Montreal had, was enough for the worst team in the NHL, and then they can get first pick in 71 and pick Guy Lafleur. Claude LaRose, Pocket Rocket Richard, trying to get out of his brother's shadow. Gentleman Jean Beliveau, who was the hero in 65 in Game 7 of the series, scoring within 14 seconds to give Montreal the Stanley Cup. Davey Bowlin, who has to play himself. John Ferguson Sr., the policeman, John Ferguson Jr., Leaf fans shudder at his name or throw middle fingers. Bobby Russo, Dick Duff, former Leaf, Gilles Tremblay, Sean-Guy Talbot, the Rose Claude Provo, Yvonne Roadrunner Cornway, Jacques Laperriere, good assistant coach one time, J.C. Tremblay, who would do much better in the WHA, Jimmy Roberts, the defenseman, not the tennis commentator, Neil Rocheford, Ted Harris, Red Berenson, who would play for the Blues 5 years later, Terry Harper, Noel Picard, who 5 years later would trip up Bobby Orr in the Stanley Cup Finals, famous pitcher, Keith McCurry, Gary Peters, Byron Watson, Andre Blue Trias, Ranger goals, Lucy Ballin, Roger Bear, who had an injury slipping on an ice cream container while playing minor hockey in Guelph and had to have neck surgery like 3 or 4 times, can't remember. Well, Kachuk, Kitchener, back when the New York Rangers sponsored the Kitchener team, about sponsorship. Drillman Sean Rattel, Vic Hadfield, 50 goal scorer and stealer of masks. He stole Bernie Perron's mask and flew it in the MSG crowd. Bob Nevin, the hero in 71 when the Rangers beat the Leafs in the first round, former Leaf. Terrible Ted Irving, who sent Chris Jericho. P. Stamkowski, former Leaf. Bruce McGregor. Stamkowski, wasn't he a scorer in triple overtime at one time? I think he did. Game 6. Jim Nielsen, Neil is the Chief. Brad Park, great defenseman for the Rangers in history. Bill Fairbairn, Jack Eagers, and Rod Sealing, both from Kitchener. So 3 Kitchener Rangers on the 71 Rangers. Ronnie Stewart, Tim Horton, yes, the famous Tim Horton from the donut chain and famous Leaf School defenseman. Glenn Saver, yes, unfortunately, that Glenn Saver. Moose DuPont, Larry Brown, not the basketball coach, but the defenseman. Dale Rolfe, who 3 years ago was pounded on by Jason Edward Schultz in a brawl in Game 7, and the Rangers didn't want to risk someone being thrown out for the third man in, which kind of made them look like cowards. Jim Gorlicki and Ab DeMarco. Here we go. The pleasantries are over. 4 minutes into the game. Until gets a shot. No. 5 minutes later. Battle. Aggression. And chance for Montreal Skiers. The policeman, Johnny Ferguson, hits 9 from Backstrom and Provo. It is now 1-0 Montreal. 5 minutes later. Battle. Action. No chance by Kachuk. 3 minutes later. Rangers? No. Rangers are the home team, so they get the red dye. Montreal's blue. 5 minutes into the second period, and he's rattled. Does Montreal take advantage? Nope. With the keeper. Montreal is 8 from Gilbert and Nevin. Five minutes later. Rangers? No. 4 minutes later. Kitchener! It's 10 from Sealy. The Kitchener connection. The assist and goal scorer both from the Rangers. From the Kitchener Rangers trying to help the New York Rangers win in 7 games over the 65 Habs. The New York Rangers. 5 minutes later. Action. And a chance for Backstrom. No. 3 minutes later. Rangers? No. 4 minutes later. Score. It's a kiss from La Rose. It's number 5. Ooh, and I feel it so good. I don't know that song by Seal. Pocket Rocket with the assist. 2-2. Much later. Rangers? No. Kachuk thought he had it. And guess what? We're going to Game 7 overtime. 2-2 tie. I personally think that it's going to be the Rangers. If I were to pick a guy, I'm going to go with Rattel. For Montreal, I say Belleville. Yeah, Rattel or Belleville. 6 minutes in. Ballard. Chance overtime heroics. The road runner, Yvonne Cornway from Backstrom and Duff. And the Montreal Canadiens win on prolongation. The hero is Yvonne Cornway, the Roadrunner. Meep meep. And he meeps over the Rangers, and the 65 Habs are in the final. We could have an all Montreal final. Anyway, Gumborsley beats Eddie Jukeman. Ferguson, LaRose, and Cornway with the goals for the Habs. The Rangers goals by Sean Rattel and Walt Kachuk. So no Kitchener connection for the 65 squad. Well, it was actually 2-0. And Montreal won twice in overtime, so I kind of had a hunch. All right, on to Montreal, the 79 Habs. If Montreal wins, it's a battle of Montreal, but the 79 squad gets home ice advantage because they're the better seed. If the 79 Oilers win, then the 65 Habs get home ice. The others will have to play on the road. But he's like, I'm not scared. Well, let's take a look at the 71 Rangers. Jackman 11-6, Vermeulen 4-2. Jackman had a 1.9 goals against. Rattel 27 points, Walkachuk 18 points, Davey Ballin with 16. The good news for Ballin is he gets to play for the 65 team without any problems. So they had to go to Game 7 against the 06 Red Wings. They swept the 68 Habs around. They took out the 82 Bruins in 5. Yeah, these guys, the 65 Habs were the best seed they had to face. It was 18th. They hadn't faced anyone in the top 16. So now they do. All right, so Oilers Montreal Game 7 from the Forum. And it will be Kenny Dryden and Billy Smith going toe-to-toe. Mike Bossy, once one of the greatest natural goal scorers until injury ruined him. Brian Trottier, great player helping for the First Nations. Clark Gillies, a man from Saskatchewan who they drafted in the first round, but he was a bruising goal scorer too, and in the Hall of Fame. Danny Potvin, great defenseman, one of the highest scoring defensemen of all time, and the number one pick of the 73 team. Bob Bourne, season player Wayne Merrick. Bob Nystrom, the next year would score the cup winning goal. John Tonelli would pass it to Nystrom for the cup winning goal. Mike Kosicki, who actually helped the Oilers win last round, Game 7, with his winning goal. Jerry Hollett, okay. Billy Harris, the first ever pick by the Oilers in 1972. Lauren Henning, Stephen Person, Dave Lewis, who later coached the Red Wings and also be traded to the Kings in 1980 in what was called the first major trade deadline deal ever for Butch Goring. Ed Westfall, former Bruins icon, become an Islander. He was still around. Bob Lorimer, Pat Price, Jerry Hart, Bert Marshall, Richie Hansen, and Hector Marini. The Cupcakes. Well, to face the Canadiens with Guy Lafleur, La Demande Blonde, and the guy who sunk the 79 Bruins with that goal with like a minute 55 left to send the game to overtime. Steve Shutt, one of the best left wing goal scorers of all time. Pierre Mondu, Mario Trombley, hate that guy for what he did to Patrick Waugh in 95. He should have taken it out after the first period. Then maybe Waugh would not have gone bonkers. Yvon Lambert, the guy who scored the winning goal against the Bruins in 79. Lafleur tied it. Lambert scored in overtime, and he said for 24 hours I was more famous than Guy Lafleur. Jacques Lemaire, known as the guy in the trap with the New Jersey Devils. Bob Gainey, great defensive forward, one of the best defensive forwards ever. Russian coaches really feared facing Gainey. Rajan Ul, Peanut, as they call him, the GM who dealt Mr. Patrick Waugh. Larry Robinson, Kitchener. Yes, he was a Kitchener Ranger at one time. Point two, Gila Point, part of the big three defensemen. Mark Napier, Doug Riseborough, Kitchener. Doug Jarvis, the big Iron Man after Gary Unger, then begot Doug Jarvis, who begot, wasn't Phil Kessel. It was someone before Kessel. I can't remember. Nevertheless, Pierre LaRouche, who was a 50-goal scorer for the Penguins, he kind of had maturity problems. Pat Hughes, Serge Savard, the senator, the third part of the big three defensemen with Robinson and point two. Rick Chartra, Kitchener, look it up, people. Ryan Engblom, who would be a great analyst for ESPN. Ron Langway, who the Habs Would trade 3 years later to Washington, and he ended up winning 2 Norris trophies for best defenseman. Yvonne Cornway and his swan song. Well, the '65 version of Cornway helped the team get to the finals. It could be Cornway versus Cornway. Jules Lupien, Cam Connor, and Dan Newman. Anyway, 3 minutes into this game. The Super Mario theme. I know, but I have to be nice. Trombley has 9 from Langway and Robinson. 5 minutes later. Who else? Butler from Lambert and Mondu. 2-0. They won an all Montreal final. 3 minutes later. 4 minutes later. Let's go! Well, he did it in the first semifinal. Cornway does it this time. Not much of a goal scorer, but he scores. Me. From Lafleur and Houle. Maybe he'll have to face each other himself. 2 minutes later. Battle in action. Oh, there's Trny. Darn it. Trny's like, Montreal up 3-0 after 20 minutes. Montreal trying to go for the kill. Lafleur, no. Trying again, no. 5 more minutes. Other skillers. Wayne Merrick has 8 from Jerry Hart, makes it 3-1. Underrated. Up. Pat Hughes gets whacked by Billy Harris. Habs have a chance to make it 4. Yes, sir. How about power play goal? He has a whole lot to gain on that one. His 10 from Riceboro and Lupien. 41. Did I talk about Jules Lupien, or did he pop up out of fucking nowhere? I think he popped up out of nowhere. Oh no, I had talked about Lupien. Lafleur's second in the night from Jamie. Where the hell is he with these points? I guess he's looking for the defensive forward stuff. 5-1, and guess what? Chico is now have to come in the net. Super Mario does it again from Corey. Well, I ain't that accomplished because, after all, it was Rajon Houle who was the GM and Tremblay who was the coach, who a lot of people said should not have been coaching GM. Mario Tremblay was an analyst. Rajon Houle was nothing but doing stuff for Molson. 6-1. I think we know who wins this game. It's going to take the penalty. It's Serge. And the other score, Clark Gillies is 13th. It's not going to matter. It's 6-2. Much later. Killing the clock. No goal. 4 more minutes. Actually, a chance for the skill. Or Ed Westfall from Potten and Bossy makes it 6-3. There's still time. Warren can't score. Neither can Harris. That's it. Irish tried. They got 2, but they needed 5. And the Montreal Canadiens, it's a battle of Montreal in the final. The 4th seed 79 Habs go to the finals, winning 6-3. It's 4 versus 18. A team that was slated to lose in the semifinals if the seedings allow, and one team that wouldn't even get out of the first round. But they're now in round 5. Tribute to the 20 New York Islanders, who didn't face anyone below them. They faced number 13, 5, 8, and 4. So they faced 3 top 10 teams. So they weren't cowards. They took out the 82 Oilers in 6, the 75 Sabres in 6, the 65 Wings in Game 7, and then they lost in Game 7 to the 79 Habs. And I do believe the others did a choke job because they were up 3-1. Chico 9-4, Billy Smith 6-7. They should have put Chico in the net. Bossy 42 points, Trottier 37, Danny Potvin 30. Everyone had 2 points when they scored points. Hector Marini got no points. Yeah, I think that was a choke job. Yeah, it was a choke job. The Islanders won 3 of the first 4. Got blown out in Game 5. Lost Game 6 on home ice closely, but lost Game 7 by 3. Basically, they just couldn't stick the dagger in. We might as well finish this off. So 79 Habs and 65 Habs. Cornway is the only player to be on both squads. He kind of left the 79 Habs after February because of a shoulder injury. Game 1 sees the 79 squad win 5-1. Dryden beats Charlie Hodge. The only goal for the 65ers, Belleville from Russo and Roberts. His 9th. Steve Shutt with 2, Yvonne Lambert, Doug Jarvis, and Bob Gainey with 1 each. And Cornway got no points. Game 2 sees the 79 squad now win 6-2. Drayton over Hodge. 65 squad Ballin from LaRose and Provo from Picard and Russo. 79 Montreal goals by Shutt, Savard, Lambert, Lafleur, Mondu, and Hull. 6 different guys. Into the 60s version of the form, that there actually was a difference. The 60s form actually had less seats, right? And they had to have a 1968 renovation. But the 79 Habs are close. They win 2-1, Dryden over Hodge. 65 goal by Provo from Backstrom and Henry. Gainey scored from Robinson and Lambert, and then Mario Tremblay in the third period from Napier. So game 4, we're going to play game 4. We might as well. It's Dryden versus Hodge. So the 79 squad looks like they're going to take it to the 65 Habs, but they better remember they came back from 3-1 down against the Cupcakes. They can't fuck this up. If you fuck this up, I'll never speak to you again. Just kidding. I probably will. 4 minutes into the game, the 79ers, no shot from Hughes. 4 minutes later, hit. And then 79 scores. Take a nap. He's not taking a nap. It's Napier, his second from Hull and Lapointe. 1-0. 4 minutes later, it will be Laperriere. Montreal skill or power play goal. The Demon Blonde. Expect anyone different? 17 from Larry Robinson, Kitchener, and Mark Napier. So Napier's got 2 points. It's coming out of fucking nowhere. 55 points, getting me the penalty. It's Cornway. So Javarsky or power play goal. The Senator, his third from Riceboro. Another Kitchener Ranger. Makes it 3-0. Wow. Yeah, Napier's in the middle of the pack. Well, the 79 squad looks pretty good. If they win this, that's 7 in a row. Because, I mean, dude. You win 7 straight games. That's just unheard of. They had to win 3 straight against the Islanders. Battles? 79 squad, Riceboro. Oh boy. Is the game winner Duff? No. Is Just Trumblay. 3 minutes later. Nope, Duff was trying to tie it. 5 minutes later. Montreal? No. Chance to tie? No. 4 minutes later. Split. Hijack split. A major by Roberts. A major misconduct. So Jimmy Roberts is in the box for 10 minutes, but that's not going to mean, he's out for 10 minutes, but it's no power play. That was kind of strange. Oh no, he's out for the game because the 10 minutes didn't move. Yeah, he's done. They're a defenseman short. That's not going to help. From Ballion makes it 3-2. So don't go away, folks. Gonna catch a tie, Henry. No. Empty nets now. Play. And it's the Kitchener Ranger. Look it up. Rick Chartraw from Tremblay and Lemaire. Game set. Match the 79 Habs. Ice it. 4-2, your final. Well, it wasn't a bloodbath like the first period suggested, but hey, anything for the product. And the 79 Habs sweep the 65 Habs aside in 4 straight games. What an ending. And man, oh man, the 79 Habs have got to be thankful about that blown opportunity by the 1979 New York Islanders. They were up 3-1. 5-1, 6-2, 2-1, 4-2. So that they scored 17 goals and gave up 6. That's pretty impressive. 17 goals scored, 6 against. So the 65 Habs had number 18. Final stats: Hodge 10-12, Worsley 6-2. Should have put up in more Proville 28 points, Backstrom 25, Ferguson 25, Rochefort, McCreary, and Peters with 1 point each. I wish we knew what the teams and the schedules. Anyway, the 65 Haps took out the '06 Flames in 6, beat the 2012 Coyotes in 6, the 92 Canucks in Game 7, the 71 Rangers in Game 7, but they couldn't do the job and lost 4 games. Every team they faced was ahead of them in the standings. They beat 3 top 10 teams. They had to beat 3 top 10 teams. The 79 squad, by contrast, Dryden 12-3, Buddy 8-3, Lafleur 48 points. He blew away everybody. He only beat Steve Shutt by a goal, but 31 assists, pretty good for Lafleur. Steve Shutt second, 31 points. Yvonne Lambert 23, Larry Robinson 22, Kitchener, Doug Riseborough 9 points, and Rick Chartrow 3 points. Well, he scored 3 points. Cornway got 2 points, including a goal in Game 7. It wasn't the winner, but man, oh man, they had an easy time. They took the 79ers were the first team in the top 20 they faced in, and that was round 4, and then they faced the 65 Habs. 5 against the 22 Stars, 5 against the 25 Stars, 5 against the 75 Bruins, 7 against the 79 Islanders, and 4 against the Habs, the 65 Habs. So, yeah, like I said, I wish I knew the stats. So the 4 seed, well, they lost Game 4. They had a chance to sweep the 22 Stars, but lost. And then in round 2, they lost Game 1 to the 25 Stars, but won the next 4. So no big deal. In the quarterfinals, same thing. They lost Game 1 to the 75 Bruins, but won the next 4. And then in the semifinals, they were toast. The Islanders had 3 games to 1, but Montreal does the same thing. They won 3 straight games within the series. Yeah, round 1, they started off 3-0, lost, but they won Game 5 when they needed to. They lost Game 1, but won the next 4 against in the Sweet 16. Quarterfinals, same thing. Semifinals, they needed to win 3 straight games, which they did. And in the final, they won 4 straight games. So every series, they won at least 3 straight. Man. Ah. Anyway, highlights. Their biggest win was in Game 2 of the semifinals, 6-1, Rock over Smith. Their biggest loss was in Game 3. They lost by 3 goals. I believe look, the 91 Penguins, they didn't get to the final, and yet their biggest loss was by 2. The 25 Leafs went to the second round. They never lost by more than 2 goals. I find that hard to believe, but yeah. The 91 Kings. The 91 Kings. Are you telling me that the 1991 LA Kings? Where's LA? There we go. Oh well. Oh, it was a 6-game series. Yeah, it was like all 4 of their losses in the first round were by 1 goal. Really? 2-1, 4-3, 4-3, 4-3, and 2-1. Yeah, every game was a 1-goal game between Toronto and LA. That was funny. 06 Red Wings, I think they faced the 7 Rangers in the first round and didn't lose by 3. The 92 Red Wings faced the 65 team in the first round and didn't lose by multiple goals. 22 Avalanche, when they lost to the 24 Sabres in the first round. No, it had to be the second round, wasn't it? No, they beat them in 5, and then they lost in 6. Yeah, so they lost by 1 to Buffalo. That was their only loss. They didn't lose to Boston, 75 Boston, by more than 1 goal. They lost 5-4, 4-3, 4-3, 6-5. Yeah. Interesting. So anyway, 10 hat tricks were scored. No one scored more than 3. No one scored 3 in a loss. Kadri, Kreider, Russo, Fedorov, McCarthy, Stevens, Middleton, Bossy, Nedved, Beliveau. So nobody. Every team. So We had 10 different goal scorers of hat tricks, and on 10 different teams, right? No, 65 Habs had Russo and Belleville. So 9 different teams had a guy score a hat trick for them. And the 92 Canucks were victimized by 2 hat tricks, McCarthy and Belleville. The most memorable game by fantasy numbers was the Sweet 16 when the 82 Bruins were down 4-0 with a potential series going to game 6, but they pulled off a 4-0 win. Well, Younger and then Casper Levele Gillies in Park tied it, and then Pittsburgh scored 2 to make 6-4, but Marcotte and Levele scored, and then Middleton on the protashing on. Wow. 22 Colorado 75 Boston in the Sweet 16 when the 75 Bruins needed to win to avoid a game 7. Colorado looked decent. Boston had to score with a minute and a half left. Dave Forbes and then O'Reilly at 2:02 of overtime. 35 Boston, 22 Colorado in game 2. Colorado was up 3-0. Burakovsky, confident Burakovsky. Boston scored 4 straight. Then Kadri tied it late. O'Reilly scored. 82 Oilers win 6-5. That was a 30-plus game score. Islanders were up 2-1. Oilers tied that series up. It was tight to the end. Islanders were up 4-2. But the Oilers won in overtime. Messier. And the other game at 30, Boston Pittsburgh. Game 5, when the 82 Bruins eliminated the 91 Penguins. Penguins were up 4-2, but blew it. Those are the most memorable things around, and that's what we got. So that's all. And the summary, Mike Bossy of the 79 Islanders, 21 goals. Lafleur was second with 17. Yeah, Bossy outscored them. Points-wise, Lafleur had it. Bossy and Trny were 2-3, but yeah, 65 Habs Protocol, 8th. Gus Worsley had the best goals against Jackman and Oettinger, but in the end, it was just not meant to be. Oof, I farted. Oh, yes, I did. Oh, yes, I did. I farted. And the 79 Montreal Canadiens win the championship. Just like you thought, maybe not. Anyhow, I'm dropped. I'm going to do.